you know Marilyn Monroe was Norma Jean Baker, a girl who lived in 12 different foster homes and an orphanage? Dolly Parton was one of 12 kids growing up in a one-room shack. What surprising beginnings may we discover about our own Elizabeth Ramirez and her speech titled Growth and Change Through Youth and Blissful Ignorance.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning. Oprah Winfrey said, the greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change his future by merely changing his attitude. And I can attest to that quote. As a therapist, I usually see clients that obviously want to change. Well, they want to change their partner or their child. But they still have difficulty with this change because of their attitude towards change. So who would have guessed that at the age of 18, a night of drinking, dancing, and a brief brush with reality TV would have a profoundly surprising change for me. I had to do a major attitude adjustment. For those of you that don't know, I'm from Birmingham, England. And notice the word Us Brits say Birmingham, and Americans tend to say Birmingham. And if you are into the Peaky Blinders, which I saw some of you wearing their cap, then you would know that Birmingham is an industrial city comprised mostly of working class citizens. And they are lovingly referred to as Brummies. So in order to escape the Birmingham 1980s economic blight, I would frequent nightclubs because dancing was my drug of choice. And on this particular night, there was a TV crew there. And I believe, I'm going to show my age now, I was dancing to Pump Up the Jam. And so they came over to me and asked me if I wanted to be on a TV show. Well, yes. And before I could change my mind, the lights were in my face, and then I was given my mission. I had to go up and find I say three single men. I got rejected by all of them. I had to find men that were willing to answer 3 questions. And one of them was not a question, but it was a dare. And I had to ask him if he would be willing to kiss me. Now, up until that point, I never had a boyfriend. So this was score. And as I mentioned, I did get rejected by several men. And can we just point out that this was on national TV? And I eventually did find someone that was willing to participate. And his name was Steve, who would eventually become a very short-lived boyfriend. So as soon as our mission was accomplished, I was running out of that nightclub and shouting where I worked so he could find me. Because I found out that they were going to air that show in the wee hours of the morning. Please understand, for those that are young, that this was the 1980s and we did not have cell phones. So if you wanted to be in a relationship, then you really had to work for it. I remember being super excited that I was going to see myself on TV, and this was going to be my grand debut. Well, that grand debut was a horror show. Have you ever had an image of what you think you look like and what you think you sound like? Okay. I thought I looked and sounded a little like Princess Diana. But instead, what was looking back at me was a female bloated version of Carrot Top with an accent that was akin to nails on a chalkboard. I was in utter shock. This was not me. No, this was not me. But as I was trying to accept reality, I decided 2 things about my accent. Number 1, this was the reason I never had a boyfriend. And number two, if I didn't do something about it, I was going to be held back in life. You see, the Brummie accent is often associated with people who are considered dim-witted, low-class, and uncouth. And frankly, Ozzy Osbourne, who is a Brummie, didn't do much for accents. The accent is often made fun of, and I've heard some people say they would rather get a kick in the crotch than listen to a Brummie accent. So for several weeks, I would listen to accents that I admired. I would watch Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice, shows like Are You Being Served, and the BBC News. And I knew it was working because my family would make fun of me. And they would say things such as, oh, who do you think you are? Do you think you're better than us? Well, yes. I accepted the insults with a feeling of pride and accomplishment. Kind of like getting a trophy at Toastmasters. Notice that attitude adjustment? So, scientists have explained that to permanently change one's accent, it is not only extremely difficult, but it's almost impossible because an accent is forever. So how did I permanently change my accent? Well, one, I decided I was going to do it. Two, I committed to the act. Three, I had fun. And four, I didn't give any acceptance or acknowledgement to contrary evidence. And fellow Toastmasters, I believe if I understood how difficult it was to change an accent, I might be speaking to you right now in my Brummie accent. Change is difficult for most people because of your beliefs, your core values, and frankly, most people don't want to feel uncomfortable. Your brain doesn't like it and will work extra hard to pull you back to what it knows. When I look back on my successes in life, I truly believe it was because of those four things that I did. I decided, I committed, I had fun, and contrary to the evidence, I stuck to it. And that is your attitude adjustment right there. So in the words of George Bernard Shaw, those that cannot change their mind cannot change anything. And he's right, because I don't want to go back to that accent. But just for this speech, I'm going to try to give you a taste of what it sounds like. And I'll be honest with you, this is the only sentence I know to do. I'm from Birmingham, I am. Thank you, fellow.